What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Landlord Society podcast. I'm Charlie. You're here with HDK. We're going to be talking about all things property, building, investing, how to make the most of the property market in Australia right now in 2024 and beyond. Handel, kick us off. What's come to your mind? You're inspired right now. We've got a lot to talk about.
Exactly right.
Tell us what's going on in that head of yours.
Yeah, well, you just really want to talk to our audience about basically the difference between building a house and buying something existing. So today we're just going to go through the pros and cons of each, and we're just gonna roll off the cuff, just talk from our experience and the people that we've dealt with, the people that we've helped to see where each of these methods sort of stack up. So maybe we can start off with just, just what do you think? Buying off, not the building, but buying something that's existing. So what do you think about the buying something that's existing?
I think buying something existing presents opportunity for probably the majority of people, depending on what their plan is. When you buy something existing, oftentimes the property itself has already done a lot of the depreciation. So you're buying the asset more based on the land rather than the build. Now, some people will come online and say, well, the tax depreciation benefit that you get when you buy something new is so good. It's like, yeah, but the reason you're getting the tax depreciation is because the property is going down in value relative to, the building versus the land. So it's a perk, but again, it's not something you should be aiming for.
Exactly.
I personally would look at a property that is more established, that might need some cosmetic renovation, or is in a really good location that, if it's a nice house, that's a bit of a benefit. But I'd always scope location as an established property in a really good location.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, established properties actually present a lot of opportunity. You can actually chop and change that so much. You can get yourself a big chunk of land, divide it. You mentioned briefly about renovations, which, renovations of it in itself can become depreciated as well. So those written losses then go towards, your tax offset as well, which obviously requires some professionals and the right kind of know how to do. Obviously completely legal, of course. Yeah. There's all of that good stuff that you can do. I mean, you can, with existing property, the strategies are just absolutely endless depending on the type of stuff that you get. And of course, you get something more unique as well. But there's also benefits of, building brand new, as well as obviously some cons as well. So we actually want to talk more about the building side today. So obviously for those of you who've been listening to us for a long time, that there is a plethora of strategies that you can apply to existing properties, and you understand what kind of properties to actually look at when it comes to applying those strategies as well. Now, when it comes to building though, let's talk about some of the pros and cons of that then. So, what's good about building something brand new? Let's just talk about the good things on an isolated format. So you mentioned depreciation. That's right. Depreciation is a good perk, provided that everything else is in line, you can depreciate the asset. So it's not that your property is actually going down in value, but the depreciation is a written loss that can then offset your income or whatever you might have in there.
Yeah. Okay, exactly. Some of the benefits of building a property is that you get a nice, fresh, new property that's
low maintenance,
up to market, low maintenance, up to date with the market value.
Yep.
You get a nice, that's one of the major benefits.
Exactly. And then a lot of the first homeowners grants and the government schemes are more geared towards these brand new property offerings where you can build. Could you think of anything else, Charles?
Not really.
Okay, so then let's go to the good, bad, and the ugly. So let's go to the bad and the ugly.
When it comes to building, I would like to build on something that is existing, to maximize value in a good location. That's where I would see potential in building. Maybe a subdivision even. That's a great way.
Exactly, and that works really well. It works really well. So if you're building something, and like I've seen people who go like, oh, here's a patch of land that I bought, it's like 300 square meters or something, and then it took me like 9 months to build, and usually like off the plan is a little bit cheaper than when it is fully built. Does that make sense? So like you take on a little bit of risk of the completion and whatever. So when it's off the plan, it's cheaper, and when it's completed, it's a little bit more expensive. So there could be like anywhere between 30 to about 70 grand difference for something that's off the plan today versus something that is already built today, even though they're both brand new offerings. So that could be like a you know, that could be a thing. Even if you buy bloody apartments of the plan, there's like, you know, and I've seen like, you know, like I would see some Chinese people that come to Australia, they'll see like, because all they understand is apartments, right? Because that's the environment that they come from. So they go, because like it's really hard to find landed properties in China. So what they do is they look at, here is an apartment development. You know, I'm gonna buy like 10 of them at the same time. I'm gonna put a contract down for 10 of them, and then as it goes closer to completion, they'll then sell each of them off at like 50 grand profits each, which is incredible. So people do make that premium of like taking the risk before it's built versus when it is built, right? But unless you sort of max it out or know exactly what you're doing, that's kind of a big risk that you're playing with, because it's there, but it's also not the best and the most. It's speculative towards a future sort of valuation of the property, you know.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Yeah. So, but you know, people have done really well out of building houses, you know, and of course, how can we forget stamp duty, right? So stamp duty gets a massive break because the land price is so much lower than the fully built price. So let's say you get a piece of land for 300k and you build it for another 250, right? You only pay stamp duty on the 300k, which is around about 5 to 6% mark across all the different states in Australia. So you'll only be paying like, you know, for a $300,000 land, 15,000, and then you build it on top. Whereas like the fully finished offering could be in the 700Ks, which, you know, stamp duty on that will be around 35, 40K, right? Which is another, another 20, 25K more expensive than the previous option, right? So that's where building can be beneficial as well. But having said that, I just wanted to bring some light into some of the risks and some of the cons of building a brand new property. So, and how we can combat them as well. So,
one thing that I notice people do is they take on trying to save costs by being an owner builder, which is something that you can do in Australia. You can elect yourself as the builder for your primary place of residence, your own home.
Yeah.
So you can't go out and just say, hey, I'm a builder and start building houses for people and make a bunch of money. But you can do that with your own home.
Yeah.
People go wrong there though, because they think that, how hard can it be to fucking build a house? Well, go do it and then ask yourself why the project's taking 3 times as long as what it would be if you just hired a builder.
And it's more expensive.
Probably way more expensive because you would have made fuck-ups along the way for sure. And you don't know which materials,
and you're not as well
the
connected.
And the stress, you're not as well connected. You don't know how the industry works. Don't go down that route unless you've done it. Unless you're a seasoned builder and you know exactly what you're doing. Don't do that.
Exactly right. And also,
I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like the building side of things, what's happened is right now. Okay, get this. Building contracts can be signed on a fixed basis or a variable basis. So the builder will be like, hey, we'll build this at, you know, this price, but we reserve the right to change this pricing based on the market. Now, people obviously don't like that, so they try to fix the pricing as much as they can. So, but then with the fixed pricing, this is what's happening. So these days, all these building companies, right? They go, okay, I promised them a year ago that this is what I'll build for, but the material prices and the labor has gone up so high that we can't afford to build at these prices anymore. So just get this. What they do is they go to the clients and say, hey, we can't finish this, right, at these prices. We also cannot change the price according to the contract that you and I have, right? If it is in that kind of contract, because it's a fixed price. But
fixed price.
Yes, yeah. But we want to. But for us to finish it, it'll cost us $50,000 extra. That gives us no profit, but we just want to be able to finish it off. Otherwise, we go under, right? We go under means we liquidate. We basically go bankrupt, and we cannot build this anymore. That means you would have to find somebody else to do it. So here's the option: pay us 50 grand extra, or we go bankrupt and you find somebody else to finish it.
Whoa, hold up, Landlord Society.
Are you sick and tired of the rat race and you want to start building wealth with property and generate passive income?
Then come and drop us a follow on Instagram and DM us the word Landlord.
The word what, Charlie?
The word Landlord, like the Landlord Society.
Okay, wait, Charles, what's our Instagram handle again?
At landlord.society.
You heard him, everybody. DM us the word Landlord to our Instagram to learn more about property investing. Now back to the podcast.
Which will be a headache.
Yeah, not only a headache, they'll struggle to find somebody who will finish it off at the same price, or even at the market price. Because to pick up a project that's half done, to finish it is going to cost more money than to start from start, finish at the end. So they will say, okay,
everyone, you got to hire architects to redesign.
Exactly.
Look at the previous plans. The changeover is a nightmare.
So then the clients have no choice, and they have their hands tied to then pay the extra 50 grand or whatever they're asking, right? But it still puts them in a good position because, well, they know, and the builders go at length to then establish that they're only building this at cost price. So they're still getting a good price for the building costs, but the prices have gone up on them. And of course, like out of 10 clients that a building company would approach, only like 6 of them will be compliant. The other 4 will try and sue the building company, which allows them to go nowhere because it depletes the resources of the building company even quicker, delivers a house even slower, right? And it's literally like, I know that's the law, but in reality, you can't just come after them and get what you want, because the fact that you're coming after them is the best way not to get what you want. So like, I know heaps of clients that are not my clients, but clients of building companies that are tied up on these proceedings, but it's not going anywhere because what money are you recovering? What are you even recovering there? You can't recover anything there. So and the builders go bankrupt, and that's pretty much it. But these things are happening all the time. So like, some of the bigger builders nowadays will have like a good team of lawyers who will be like, yo, we can go and ask for that $50,000 from your client in a really nice way, and we'll get it for you. It's unbelievable, right? This industry is crazy. But what could you do? As long as, like, to be honest, as long as these building companies aren't making a mint off of asking for that extra 50,000, then it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, they're still just trying to simply complete the project for the clients, then that's fine. But to combat this, I was actually speaking to some builders, and some builders, what they do is this. So when you do a building contract, you start with an initial 5% deposit. 5% deposit will get the site prepared, all that kind of. So it's like when you do building stuff, a building project, you will get 5% of the building cost at the beginning, 20% when the footings go in, 20% when something happens, and 20% when the lockup happens, and after that, when it finishes, you pay the very last lump sum. And there's bank progress payments, and the bank will give you those lump sums as a loan if you have a loan from the bank, right? And you want to obviously build it as quickly as possible because everything's on loan, so you don't want to pay as much repayments as possible. So
yeah. So rather than getting all the money in one go, you can stage the finance as you go.
Exactly right, but that's also the issue. So at 5% down payment, at the 5% initial payment to actually get the site prepared, the builders will go out and do that. And as they go along, they will order the parts as they go. But the parts and the building materials will have different prices all throughout that period, right?
Yeah.
I've seen some smart developers that do this. They say, you know what? I don't want 5% upfront. I want 20% upfront. I will do the site preparation at cost and spend the rest of the money buying all the parts for the house today. Isn't that amazing? So they'll buy all the parts for the house today, and then they will pay the money to the building material suppliers so that it doesn't actually get delivered right now, but it's paid to them now, and therefore locks the price in. So at a later that they have to deliver it on those prices, right? So the builders rid themselves of that risk. And listen to this, not many banks are willing to give that 20% as the initial payment. So the builder will demand from the client, hey, pay the extra 15% out of your own accounts. They're basically culling out all the poor people. Isn't that amazing? So they're only working with people who actually have the cash, so that from a business side, it actually works out better. And plus the client can lock in those prices now so that they don't have to be stuffed around with price changes down the track, giving a bad taste in the mouth. Bloody genius, right? So that's why I've seen some building companies do this. And, you know, it's not often the biggest building companies that do this. The biggest building companies want to cast their net as wide as possible, capture every audience. If somebody can pay $3,000 in deposit, they'll get on with it. And then just pressure them, you know, until the cows come home, and so that they get the money in the till, right? But there are building companies out there who are actually thinking about these things, locking the prices in earlier, so that they can actually honor the contracts that they have with their clients, which I think is very, very good. And then because the orders are, and think about it from the supplier's end side of things, you know, the building material supplier side of things, they really like working with this company because they've already paid for the materials upfront, right? So they're probably going to get first preference when the material comes in. And when they ask for the delivery, it's pretty much ready to go and they're ready. So a lot of these smarter developers are reporting that their suppliers actually of building material actually treat them a lot nicer and better and easier to work with, which I thought that is fantastic. So even if they will need, I don't know, steel frames a month from now, or even, bricks, 3 months, 4 months from now, they will have that ordered now, paid for now with the deposit that they get. With the 20% initial payment, the initial stage payment that they get. And I thought, wow, that's really, really smart. So often what that happens is that they then complete projects more on time, right? And more on price. Yeah. So if you do place
the risk away from yourself as the builder, yourself as the consumer and the builder.
Exactly right. So if you do plan to build, make sure you do your research on how these people work and also be able to help them help you. Because yes, you're right, the initial payment from the bank customarily will be only about 5%. But if you can come up with the extra 15 to then cover the 20%, that's going to allow your builder to do their job well, then that's not so bad. And what's 15% on a $250,000 building contract is literally 30 grand. It's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's actually okay. And that's the only cash flow that you need to service at the beginning, and the rest the banks will sort it out anyway. So, yeah, I mean, these are just some of the discoveries that we're making now as the prices change. And, like the prices are going to be more fluctuant, over the coming years, man. With this industry is not going to become stabilized, I don't think. It's going to become more and more fluctuating. So just be mindful of how you position yourself and find the right builders to work with.
Just quickly, if you had the opportunity to buy off the plan using a government grant, like not build like your own home, but buy off the plan and off the plan build, house and land package, what would you prefer? And why?
Yeah, so I would probably look at where it is, first of all, how big it is, what the income potential is. I would also look at the likelihood of you actually getting the grant, because some grants are on a lottery basis. It's not rewarded to everybody. I would also be looking at the quality of the build that you're going to get. And that's the biggest question mark. That's the biggest speculation for any builder. Now, in Australia, most of you guys will come out pretty unscathed with that risk. But if it does affect you, it will affect you hard and bad, right? And you builders are hard to find. Builders are hard to find right now. Don't get me wrong. Builders are hard to find. Builders that have capacity are hard to find. Good builders are harder to find. So that's probably what I would have down pat. Some people just luck out. They just tick every box and just go, yep, they sign everything off and they just follow the steps, and then they get presented a property 9 months, a year down the track. Voila. If that happens, congratulations. And the property value goes up and the depreciation works in your favor, right? And you live in it for a year and you got $200,000 equity growth, and that's all tax-free because it was a main residence. Congratulations, right? For me, but for me, that is far more speculative than and if it works well for you, great. Then, for example, going to an established market, established home, understanding what kind of renovations and what kind of developments you could do, understand the feasibility of doing every single project and the profitability of it, and then pulling the trigger at it. Does that make sense? So there is room for both. Obviously, if you know one thing better than the other, go for the ones that you do know. But I'm pretty confident now, to go, yep, if I built a house with this patch of land, I'll make money. It's pretty straightforward. But ultimately, I think you've got to think about the implications, the future implications of your building projects, right? And and the type of stuff you're building will have an impact on its growth in the future. Because if you get something like a good chunk of land in a good area, that'll do really, really well. But then if you buy a crappy apartment in a bad area, come on, you got yourself a nice box, but who's gonna move in? Who's gonna love it? Who other than you? You know what I mean? That's the good, bad, and the ugly of building.
Yeah, building versus buying.
Yeah, that's right. Any questions? Send us a DM. Landlord.society Instagram. Follow us. Subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Bye.